Good evening, everybody. Whoa! Whoever that was, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. If we can have everybody take their seats, we have a very full program. We don't want to shortchange anybody. So my name is Doug Harvey. I am the, I don't know what I am. I'm the CEO of Maxim Truck and Trailer, and I will be your MC tonight, which I'm honored to be. And those of you that have been to these dinners before, I always like to start by saying how excited I was when Greg called me and said that I was going to be in the Business Hall of Fame as the MC. So that's my shtick. And you know, in Winnipeg, you're never very far away from a friend. So I had a friend of mine, John McGoy, phone me after the last dinner and said, Harv, you don't have a hope of being in the Business Hall of Fame unless as the MC. So we all have a role to play, and I'm honored to be here tonight with our three wonderful inductees and a nice cross-section of our wonderful community in which we live. So, 5 years ago, Junior Achievement Manitoba joined the other Junior Achievement Charters across Canada and the United States in honoring their distinguished business leaders within the province. Something that was long overdue, but we are now very proud to say has become an annual recognition in Manitoba. Tonight we have some past Hall of Fame inductees with us. I know seated at my table, table 4, is Elmer Hildebrand, and I believe Sandy Riley is in the house. I noticed the Premier wasn't, so I thought Sandy would probably be here. Like I could leave that alone. We also have some family members of previous inductees. So Louis Delaney's daughter, Tina, somewhere in the house. The late Douglas Everett's family, Ashley, Kate, and Douglas Jr., and we'd be remiss to not offer our sincere condolences to the Everett family, who we lost Senator Everett in the last month, and obviously his reputation preceded him, and you don't lose someone of that character and that stature, and obviously as a wonderful father and grandfather without, despite a long life well lived, obviously lots of sadness. So our thoughts are with you both, with all three of you. Muriel and James Richardson's grandson, Jim Richardson, is here. Albert Cohen's son, James, is here. And Izzy Asper's daughter, Gail, and son, David, are here. So we are very pleased that you are here representing one or both of your parents. So thank you, each and every one of you, for sharing this evening with us. The Junior Achievement Manitoba Business Hall of Fame recognizes the cumulative work of individuals over a lifetime, dedicated to enhancing the economic prosperity of Manitoba through their business endeavors, and inductees are widely respected for their integrity, their business relationships, their business acumen, and also their community contributions. And I know the three that are being inducted tonight do all of those things in spades. You are all regarded as inspiring role models for enterprising junior achievement students and young Canadians for generations to come. So please join me in congratulating this year's inductees, Ida Elbow and Rick Bell, Jerry Price, and Richard Croft. We'll obviously have the pleasure later on of hearing more from those individuals. In addition to our honored guests, we're pleased to be joined this evening by some other distinguished guests. So, Her Honor, Lieutenant Governor Janice Filmon and the Honorable Gary Filmon. The Honorable Ralph Eichler, Minister for Agriculture for the Province of Manitoba. And His Worship, Mayor Brian Bowman. Who has also announced he's running, so expect some glad handing and love tonight from Brian. At this time, we'd like to ask Her Honor, Janice Filmon, to please bring greetings from the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. Janice.
Really, he thought he was going to get away with a handshake. I don't think so. Doug, what a beautiful job of introducing the people that are here tonight. Imagine all the sons and daughters. I would just like to ask, does anybody want to be my daughter? Son? It's such a lovely, lovely way to think about the leadership that this community has had and that has continued. So thank you to each one of you that are here in that capacity. So, and thank you, Doug. They knew who they asked to be the MC, believe me. I have Commander Claude Michon here with me tonight, and for those of you that don't know, the Office of the Lieutenant Governor is supported by uniformed aides and civilian aides. And Commander Michon looks wonderful tonight, but you should see him in his white naval uniform. But the fact is that he has been there protecting our country for you during the day and supporting this office. I just thank you, Claude, so very much for coming with me. Thank you. Leaders and motivators, dreamers and doers, friends and inductees of the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. It's a pleasure, in fact, it's a thrill to join you for this celebration this evening. It's a celebration of excellence and innovation. We are gathered on Treaty 1 territory on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe and the homeland of our Métis people. But we have come together tonight on a street named for one of Canada's greatest business leaders, a man who led the Hudson Bay Company, diffused tensions during the Red River Resistance, and led the construction of the railway that shaped Winnipeg and Western Canada. I would imagine that most of you do not know about Donald Smith. We're also gathered on the block that has been the center of joyous celebration this spring as the people of the city proclaim their pride in Winnipeg to the world. On the way here, we decided we were all in withdrawal because everything we do is geared around the hockey schedule, right? So this is a great place to gather and to honor 4 contemporary business leaders who have achieved great success for Manitoba in the big leagues of their own industries, whether manufacturing precision products for demanding clients all around the world or exceeding the expectations of the most particular of guests. Tonight's honorees have demonstrated that Manitoban businesses can compete and win on any stage. And in doing so, they have created opportunities for thousands of Manitobans. We will hear more this evening about the successes of Rick Bell, Anita Albo, Jerry Price, and Richard Croft. We'll hear about the unique challenges of 3 very different industries, and we'll hear about the common denominators of discipline, imagination, and integrity required to attain great success in business. Most importantly, we will have a chance to let them know what it means to us to see our friends and neighbors reach the heights right here in the city and the province we love. So Rick and Ida, Jerry and Richard, you inspire us and encourage us, and you enhance this place that we call home. Congratulations, thank you, merci, miigwech.
If I was married to Gary Filmon, I'd have security with me around the clock, too. Did you ever meet somebody that was better suited for her job? So we are so honored to have you in that leadership role, Janice. One thing I forgot when I was introducing Elmer Hildebrand is Elmer owns Golden West Broadcasting, and Elmer and his work family suffered a tragic loss in the Humboldt Broncos. Horrific accident, and they lost 2 employees out of their Humboldt office. So, Elmer, I just want you to know that we all share your grief, and the community, the hockey community, Canada, quite frankly, the world has come together, and you know, there is no playbook for what you're going through, but just know that many people are with you in thought and prayer. So. And then one other short snapper on a happier note. I just got back, my wife and I, my honey and I, just got back from Hong Kong in the wee hours of yesterday morning, and we're having a little trouble adjusting to the schedule. So I came home a little early from work, and Jan said, "Why don't you just lay down for a few minutes?" And she said, "I'll lay beside you. I'll never fall asleep." Which the next thing I heard was, "Doug, it's 5:15. I said, "Holy shit, I'm supposed to be there at 5:30. So Jan was last seen running into the shower, not sure whether she was going to make it, so I'm delighted you did, honey. You wash up lovely. And you know the whole part about, being prepared and setting the alarm? I'm not going to hold it. I'm not even going to say anything about that. Anyways, it is my pleasure now to bring greetings on behalf of the government of the province of Manitoba, the Honourable Ralph Eichler. Ralph?
Well, thank you, Doug. It's an honor and pleasure to be here, Your Honor, and Mayor Bowman. The Premier's covering duty in the House, so he selected me to come and represent him tonight, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. 4 great leaders who have achieved a great deal of success in the business world, who saw opportunities, took risks, and succeeded, who have led by example and contributed much to our economy, who have served their province and their nation with distinction. Out of Albo, Richard Bell, Richard Croft, and Jerry Price represent the best business interest in this community. They remind us of hard work, intellect, integrity, which will carry you a long way in the business world, and that you can achieve your dreams right here in Manitoba. We often think that governments do not appreciate the risks that entrepreneurs take. The risk of taking out a mortgage, having to make payroll, putting everything you own on the line. While I can tell you that we appreciate and understand those risks, and so does my government, we know the willingness of entrepreneurs to take these risks, in some cases jeopardizing their own homes to stay in business, create jobs that keep our province moving forward. We join all Manitobans congratulating each of tonight's inductees on entering the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. It's a well-deserved honor and arguably long overdue. We also congratulate and express our appreciation to our host, the Junior Achievement of Manitoba, an organization that was created, the Business Hall of Fame, only a few short years ago, and continues to foster and culture entrepreneurship in young Manitobans. You're empowering young people to explore self-employment as a viable career path. And by doing so, you're creating future generations of business leaders in our province of Manitoba. We often say the only thing better today in Manitoba is tomorrow. We know that is true because of the work the Junior Achievement and because of the strong business leaders like tonight's inductees. The future of our province is also bright because of their leadership, the contributions, the commitment of great Manitobans like our inductees here tonight. We thank you for your contributions to Manitoba. We're so proud of you. Thank you all, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Ralph. I was having a good evening until you mentioned payroll. I think it's Friday, I'm pretty sure. Again, thank you for bringing those greetings. I know people in Parliament and members of the legislature have long hours and lots of hands to shake and babies to kiss, but families at home. So when you take time out to be here, we thoroughly appreciate it. It's now my pleasure to call upon the Mayor, the Honourable Brian Bowman, to say a few words on behalf of the City of Winnipeg. Brian.
Note to self, try to get a seat further away from the stage when Doug's emceeing. You don't want to be in sight. He's doing a great job tonight. It's going to be a wonderful evening. I had formal remarks prepared, but all of those formal remarks have already been stated by our 2 eloquent speakers who have spoken already, and I want to acknowledge and thank Her Honor and the Minister and all of the distinguished guests that are here today in celebration. When I was younger, one of my first entrepreneurial initiatives was taking, you take what you got and you try to make something out of it. And so we had a lot of hockey sticks around the house. And we had a pond in the backfield, and so I had all these hockey sticks. My dad had a bandsaw. I thought, okay, I'm going to cut them up into pieces like this. I'm going to kind of create a ring and create a flower pot. Painted it white, sold it around the neighborhood to friends in the summer. And in winter, I wouldn't paint them, and of course, it was a puck holder. Clearly, it didn't succeed, and I became mayor. And this is why, if you want someone to not be a politician, you want to support junior achievement. And so tonight is a night to really find those people and jokes aside, really help give them the confidence to pursue their business and entrepreneurial initiatives. This is an incredible celebration of really the finest Winnipeggers that are being honored tonight. And I know these individuals. They really personify what's best about our community. These are community leaders, they're business owners and leaders that have a good work ethic and good sense of humor along the way. And I think we can have discussion tonight about whether the community helped create these leaders or vice versa. There's probably a bit of both. But what I love most about Winnipeg and our business community is really that ecosystem that's created. It allows the entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem that we have here is unique, and it allows leaders like Dana Spiring, who's here tonight from Economic Development Winnipeg, the provincial government, myself, to go out there and make the case why Winnipeg is really open for business and why investment should increasingly flow here. And that more recently, in partnership with the province and Economic Development Winnipeg, led to a great announcement about Ubisoft bringing in $35 million investment and 100 jobs in absolute world-class, cutting-edge technologies. And that's because of a lot of people in this room who've been working really hard to make sure when we go out and pitch Winnipeg as a good place to invest, that we can say we have a supportive business community for startups as well as more established organizations like the Maxim trucking companies of the world. And so I just wanted to be here tonight to obviously pay tribute to the inductees, to meet some of our younger entrepreneurs who are going to be charting their own course for us and for our kids, and also just to thank everybody for supporting an incredible organization that's helping us strengthen our entrepreneurial ecosystem here in the city of Winnipeg. So enjoy the evening. Thank you so much. Merci and miigwech.
So I couldn't help, when I'm listening to you, thinking about how excited your dad must have been. You know, back in that day, probably $100 for a stick, and then your son cuts pieces off, sells it in the neighborhood for $5, and only short people can play hockey from then on. Well, Mr. Mayor, you made it. Thank you very much, Brian. And again, I speak sincerely when I say I know you have a young family and a lovely wife at home, and there's other things you could be doing. So when you take time out to be here, it means a lot to, obviously, the inductees and everybody in the room. So thank you for being with us. It's now my pleasure to introduce Chris Vogue. Sir, you know, we went through that, didn't we, Greg? Chris, you got a great name. You just spelled it wrong. So Chris Vogue, Assistant VP and Manager of Canadian Western Bank, to bring greetings on behalf of Canadian Western Bank, our presenting sponsor. Chris?
Thank you, Doug. Always entertaining. Thank you. Thank you again for doing this. Thank you again for emceeing. Really appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Vogue, and on behalf of Canadian Western Bank, I am very proud to be here as the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame's Gala presenting sponsor. It's great to see so many of you out here supporting junior achievement and also helping us to recognize all of tonight's inductees for their incredible business accomplishments. At Canadian Western Bank, we take great pride in helping our clients at every stage of their dreams, and we are motivated by their ultimate success. This support can be through resources, of course, or financial advice, anything to help them manage their money and achieve their personal goals. However, these financial concepts and support are not always conveyed to people at an early age. Because of this, we feel that JAA is essential education for the next generation of business leaders. The experience and confidence that youth of all ages receive from their programs has a lasting impression which is felt across all communities. CWB's support of JA in Western Canada goes back over 20 years, and I'm also extremely proud to have been on the board here with Greg for about 5 years now. I think it's been 5 years, Rick. I've seen firsthand that JA's programs help to provide the financial education to develop strong, healthy communities and a confident, motivated workforce. Again, everything else has been said here tonight. The one thing I'm going to sit there and say that we talk about all the time, organizations such as ours, we struggle with volunteers. We have a hard time finding them, so I would encourage that if anybody here has any desire at all, please reach out to us. We have lots of schools signing up. We have lots of kids that want to learn. We don't always have the volunteers to do that, so please help if you can. I was lucky enough to deliver a course for JA last year to grade 5s and 6s. A little nervous at first. As you know, not sure any of you spend a lot of time around 11 and 12-year-olds, but they can smell fear. They also have no problem telling you just how uncool you are. So, my 13-year-old daughter, I think, tells me every day that I embarrass her, but nevertheless, the kids were amazing. They were engaged, had genuine interest in everything we did. The course itself is very interactive. They had a great time, and you know when kids are genuinely excited for those same reasons, and they really did. So it demonstrated to me just how important it was to teach them about money management, and that JA's programs are having an impact. It was very rewarding, and again, I encourage you all to join us if you like. So I'd like to once again thank Greg and his team for letting me be part of this wonderful organization, and say well done to another successful year. And congratulations once again to all the inductees in the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. It is truly well deserved, and thank you for helping make our province successful while inspiring all of the future leaders that are in this room. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much, Chris, for not only being a volunteer and giving of your time, but also obviously your company's participation in being the presenting sponsor tonight. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to call upon the CEO and President of Junior Achievement Manitoba to bring greetings on behalf of Junior Achievement, the father of that beautiful spinorama goal the other day, which is part of your claim to fame, but really Kathleen's moves, I think, more than yours. Anyways, Greg Leipzig.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, Your Honors, Mrs. Philman, Mr. Philman, Minister Eichler, Mayor Bowman, our honored inductees, our past inductees. Thank you all for being here. We're gathered to recognize 4 incredible business leaders who've achieved the highest level of excellence in their field. We here at JA are dedicated to helping plant the seeds of the next generation of business leaders. Our programs stand on 3 core principles: work readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. During this current school year, JA staff trained 200 people from the business community that fanned out all over Manitoba into classrooms, and in partnership with teachers, they delivered our financial literacy programs. This year, we're tracking to teach almost 11,000 students, which would be the largest student reach in over 8 years. Tonight, we're really excited to recognize one of our alumni. Muriel Dupuis participated in our company program in 2012 and 13. This is the program that sees high school students form their own business teams and come up with a product idea, write a business plan, manufacture that product, and then sell it, shares in their company and sell that product. In fact, in 2014, Muriel was recognized as the top company program student out of 120 kids. We like to think that she was bitten by the entrepreneurial bug when she was a student in JA, because last year in university she co-founded her own business, Le Monkey Bar, with her partner Raheem Lehman. Taking her passion for a healthy lifestyle, they developed fruit-based frozen desserts. With seed funding from the Economic Development Council for Manitoba bilingual municipalities and some mentorship from Case Financial, they opened Le Monkey Bar last May on the Esplanade Riel Bridge. They had forecasted $15,000 in sales over 3 months last summer, and they quickly rocketed past that and had over $30,000 in sales. They'll once again be on the bridge again this summer near the Forks, so we of course invite you to visit them, and they're looking forward to a permanent location one day. And of course you'll see at all your place settings the desserts that they've created for you tonight. There are many people to thank, so please take the time, if you would, to review the program, all of those people and companies. Most importantly, we want to thank all of you. Your attendance tonight has set a record in 6 galas. This is our highest grossing total of $205,000, and we, of course, thank you so much for that. I also, yeah, that is worth it. I especially want to thank our 4 inductees, their families, their employees who have been a part of this process of getting to tonight, for all of their help. Obviously, without you folks, none of this is possible. Finally, I'd like to call Brad Ross to come up to the podium. Brad is the chairman of my board of directors, and he's going to make a little presentation. For the past 5 years, Doug Harvey has been our MC for our gala. Through some health issues, commitments to other nonprofits that he supports, and as he said, winging around the world 24 hours ago, he's done a fantastic job entertaining us. So with that, are you here, Doug? Brad is going to present you with your own award. It's close.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Will you guys do a photo? Will you do a photo with Doug? Sure.
I told you, it's going to be a big night. Thank you very much, Greg. And when you came up on stage, I thought I was being replaced, and I got a prize. I mean, how nice is that? Fabulous. My honey was here to see it all cleaned up. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Just before we start dinner, I would like you to look up in the loge and see nobody there. So Helen White and her disappearing band are playing throughout dinner and throughout the evening. They're fabulous. We appreciate them being here. Sorry that they had to leave. So we'll give a round of applause for the missing band. And Greg, one other thing when I heard that you could actually sponsor students in the program, I would like to sponsor Mayor Bowman. So when he's got a night off, I want him to go to school, figure out the hockey stick deal, and there's a future after politics. Enjoy your dinner, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back. We'll introduce a special guest to us when salads are done, and so please sit back, enjoy your meal, hopefully the music, and we'll talk to you shortly. Thank you. If I can have your attention, please. Helen, nice to have you back. Thank you very much. 4 bites of salad, and we're back at her. But we like to keep the evening flowing, because we want to make sure we save lots of time for our wonderful inductees. So, Junior Achievement Manitoba offers high school students in Winnipeg an intensive 6-month after-school entrepreneurship journey called the Company Program. Greg alluded to it in his remarks. Groups of students under the guise of volunteer business advisors create and manage a business. They use real money, they create real products, and they have real customers. The Junior Achievement Company Program gives student participants important real-world experience in the area of business. One Junior Achievement student has been selected to receive post-secondary scholarships. For the first scholarship award, I'd like to introduce Karen Swiston, CEO of Waterford Global, to present the Future Leader of Manitoba Award to this year's recipient. Karen? Karen?
Good evening, Honorable Janice Philman, His Worship Mayor Bowman, Hall of Fame recipients, and guests. My name is Karen Swiston, and I'm the CEO of Waterford Global. As a Winnipeg-based executive search and recruitment firm actively engaged in the domestic and international recruitment of leadership talent, we have the privilege this evening of presenting a scholarship to one junior achievement individual that we have selected, and we on a daily basis have the privilege of engaging with leaders, not only locally, nationally, but also globally. As we all know, to become a leader is a lot of hard work and a lot of effort. Leaders in business are often the kind of folks that we work with. We work in the healthcare as well as the not-for-profit area, and in every walk of life, leadership is incredibly important. Tonight's event celebrates leadership as we gather to recognize and honor certain leaders among us who have made significant and lasting contributions in the world of business. We want to congratulate all of those who are being conducted into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame this evening. In addition, tonight's Junior Achievement event also recognizes those within our midst who are just starting down this path, young people who are already beginning to demonstrate leadership qualities in their schools, in their communities, in sports and other clubs, and in their junior achievement endeavors. The Future Leader of Manitoba Award was established for the purpose of making special recognition of a deserving young leader from among JA's high school participants. The leadership at Waterford Global recognizes the importance as well as the significance of supporting young leaders in our community. This leadership award is meant to celebrate the recipient's achievement in the Junior Achievement Program and as well to encourage further education at the post-secondary level and to promote giving back, or as some say, paying it forward to one's community. This year's award winner fully embodies as well as personifies the intent and spirit of the award. She has consistently shown the leadership characteristics we look for, not only through her involvement in junior achievement, but in her case, leadership that extends far beyond the junior achievement environment. She has started even at her young age to build an impressive resume, and so we are looking forward with great anticipation at what the future will hold for her and for our business community. She is one of those rare individuals who leaves a lasting impression, and so I'd like to ask that you all please join me in congratulating and welcoming to the stage this evening this year's recipient of the Future Leader of Manitoba Award, Miss Katie Hawthorne.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off with a huge thank you to Waterford Global. Thank you for creating this scholarship and making this opportunity available to high school students like myself. I am so honored to be the recipient of this award and look forward to starting post-secondary education in the fall at the University of Manitoba to study biomedical engineering. I would like to thank Junior Achievement for introducing me to the world of business and entrepreneurship. Thank you to Marie Hacot for your continued dedication to the program and for your commitment to inspiring youth in Manitoba. I have been a part of Junior Achievement for the past 2 years, and I can honestly say it has been the most meaningful experience of high school for me. Thank you to Nelson McIntyre Collegiate's Junior Achievement Company and our 4 amazing advisors, Mr. Magnifico, Mr. Sabrin, Mr. Winters, and Danelle Huging. You are constantly pushing us to do more and work harder, and your mentorship and support has led us to success. This year, our Junior Achievement Company partnered with the Children's Hospital Foundation of Manitoba to support the pediatric epilepsy and neurosurgery programs. I would like to thank Dr. Kazina for bringing pediatric epilepsy care to Winnipeg and for making our city a better place to live. Your work is greatly appreciated. I am so thankful to be a part of this amazing program and experience these life-changing opportunities. Thank you.
Katie, thank you very much, and congratulations. And Karen and Waterford Global, these dinners, these awards, these young people don't get a chance to shine if companies don't step up. So Karen, thank you very much for stepping up and this wonderful award. I could see a lot of Katie in me. You know, I took a year of pre-med, and only two things held me back: my 2.0 grade point average, and I couldn't stand the sight of blood. So I sell trucks for a living. So Katie, what a wonderful and poised young lady, and I know we'll hear, because I read the notes, we'll hear more from her in the future. So please enjoy your dinner. The main course will be served, and I could actually lose weight on this job. As I'm sitting up here, I'm watching them clear my half-finished plate away, and tears are hitting the table. So anyways, bon appetit, enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much for listening. Wow, hey, wasn't that a great meal? So let's give thanks to Sandy Boychuk and the Met staff for their wonderful service and food this evening. It's now my pleasure to welcome Priti Mehta Shah, President-elect of the Entrepreneurs Organization of Winnipeg, to present the Entrepreneurial Excellence Award to Katie Hawthorne. You might have met Katie before. Katie's taken all the hardware tonight. So, Priti, please. Priti, please.
Her Honor, Honorable Janice Filman, His Worship, Mayor Bowman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Priti Mehta Shah, and it is my honor as incoming chair of the Entrepreneurs Organization, EO Winnipeg, to present this year's Entrepreneurial Excellence Award. At EO, we endeavor to educate, transform, and inspire entrepreneurs through world-class professional education and peer-to-peer mentorship. With more than 13,000 members globally in over 54 countries and a vision to grow to 20,000 members by 2020, it gives us great pleasure to support Junior Achievement and its mission to inspire and prepare young people to succeed in our global economy. The recipient of EO Winnipeg Entrepreneurial Excellence Award must have demonstrated an enterprising spirit and must have a record of outstanding entrepreneurial achievements. This year's recipient, as mentioned before, has already been introduced and already has won an award tonight. She's involved in various STEM activities and has a passion for innovation and business. She has won a number of awards, including bronze medal at the Provincial Engineering Competition. She has won gold medal at the Manitoba High School Business Fund Competition, and she received the Emerging Entrepreneur of Manitoba Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me in congratulating this year's EO Winnipeg's Entrepreneurial Excellence Award winner, Ms. Katie Hawthorne.
Hey, don't mess with this one.
Okay, that one's great. Congratulations.
I'd like to thank the Entrepreneurs Organization for this award. Thank you for supporting youth who are passionate about entrepreneurship and for making this opportunity possible. I am honored to receive this award tonight. I would also like to thank my Junior Achievement Company. Working together with 15 dedicated high school students over the past 6 months has been great. Yes, we learned about business and entrepreneurship, but more than that, we learned about ourselves. We gained new skills, stepped outside of our comfort zones, and discovered our potential as individuals and as a team. Thank you also to my parents for being here tonight. I want to commend all of the Junior Achievement teams this year for your enthusiasm in the company program and for your commitment to innovation. It's been a great year for Junior Achievement, and I think everyone should be proud of the work we've accomplished. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, Katie. We do have a lot in common. Okay, so you're 18, you got 2 awards, I'm 64, I got 1, okay? But I'm still working on it, I'll be catching you. Congratulations, Katie. I mean, and I just want everybody to know there was more than one person that was eligible. It's actually, she was that outstanding that she won both the awards, which I think is the first time in the history that one recipient has won both, so. So we are going to now have dessert. So we see how we roll this thing. We have a little eating, we have a little chatting, we have a little eating, we have a little chatting. We have more eating, more chatting. So we're going to be back after dessert with the formal tributes and the videos, which you'll find will be outstanding. Jeff Curbison asked that you please read your program and the profiles that he wrote. He says they're outstanding as well. Jeff, thank you. The junior achievement students will be circulating around the floor this evening, and they will be individually coming to your table to tell you about their experience with the program. So I know you'll all reach out to them. These are our future leaders, talking to, in many cases, the past leaders and current leaders. And so please make sure to be hospitable and give them your time and your energy. So please enjoy dessert. One shout out, Greg Hansen. Happy birthday, Greg. Woo! And look where Mary brought you for your birthday. How good is that, eh? So enjoy your dessert. Without further ado, we will now get on to the formal portion of our evening, and that is the induction of our business leaders into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. So please turn your attention to the video screen, and our first video and our first honoree tonight, Mr. Jerry Price.
Jerry Price was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba in 1948, the son of engineer Ernie Price, who founded E.H. Price 2 years earlier. Jerry grew up spending many summers at their cabin in Lac Loup.
My, by far, fondest memory of my childhood was our summers at the lake. We kids were left to our own devices at the lake, and it was fantastic. I built a hydroplane, and it went like a rocket, and I explored the lake and was out on my own all the time.
Jerry's ingenuity and independence led to an interest in math and a career as an engineer. His early career was making mathematical models of complex systems, including working for the Defense Research Board of Canada, where he calculated the effects of blast waves on antennas.
Imagine a barn that's full of grain, except it's full of explosives. And when you detonate this barn, you create a blast wave that is formidable. So this is now fun stuff for guys, because blowing up stuff is fun. So we had a variety of antennas at different distances from ground zero. They all had some kind of transient response. I predicted how they would respond, and my model was dead on.
Along his path to becoming an engineer, Jerry held various summer jobs to help support himself. One of those jobs led him to a career at his family's company, E.H. Price, which specializes in heating, cooling, and ventilation.
That summer, developing the computer system for the office caused them to maybe consider trying to hire me. Because while I was working at Defense Research Board, I was called up by Jerry Law, the president of the day, and asked to meet with him that summer, which I did, and he offered me a job.
In 1986, after becoming president, Jerry was able to part ways with Price's licensor, Titus, after they wanted to double their royalty. Now on their own, Price was able to enter the U.S. market.
Their opportunity is enormous compared to Canada, which is a relatively small market. So I naturally gravitated towards, could we make it in the States? What if we could get a foothold and grow an enterprise in the States?
Jerry, by background and training, is a mathematical modeler, a very high-end one. So he always understood the trend. He could see where the sales were going, he could see that margins were improving, and even though he was burning money at what many at that time thought was an alarming pace, he knew that if that trend continued, eventually the company would break through And that vision that he had set out of becoming #1 in the US market, as absurd as it might have seemed initially, by 2008, 20 years after entering the US market, it was true.
Jerry's perseverance paid off, and Price became one of the world's largest HVAC companies, even becoming exclusive ventilation supplier to all Apple flagship stores worldwide. Price has an advanced research center that collaborates with world-renowned partners including Kaiser Permanente, the Research Council of Canada, and the Mayo Clinic, to name a few. They manufacture advanced medical and critical environment air distribution systems. He credits his continued success to the dedication of his wife, Barb, who has been a huge support over the years.
I will never forget walking in the door of Mr. Kohut's room in grade 11 of my first day in River School, and seeing Barb, who ultimately became my girlfriend and wife, sitting in the front row up front. And I spotted her right away, and I never forgot that image. There's absolutely no way I could have done what I did and and accomplish what has been accomplished without Barb's complete support. She's been my partner in everything right from the get-go. Our 2 daughters, Ainsley and Shannis, were born while we were in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on my PhD program. And I was working very long hours at the time, and Barb was supporting me in it like a trooper. We had one small car, a Maverick. So she would drive me to the university to teach the courses and then do my stuff. And then she would have 1 or 2 babies in tow at the time. And late at night, she'd pick me up at school, generally around 10:30, 11. And the girls would be in the back seat sleeping. That kind of is a measure of our love and our mutual commitment and Barb's absolute unconditional support. Travis was born quite a bit later in 1987. Honestly, that was the most exciting thing in our life, to have our little baby boy come to us as a gift. Travis and the girls and Barb and I spent a lot of time at the lake. Just like when I was a kid, we had great memories at the lake. I would say we had fabulous memories as a family at our lake, which is Lake of the Woods. Thus began the happiest chapter of our life in 1987 when Travis was born, because we had all 3 kids, and that was heaven.
Tragically, Travis passed away suddenly in 2004. In his legacy, Jerry and Price Industries has adopted Travis's approach to life as their approach to business.
And there came a time where Jerry had to say something at the right time and the right way in his office, looked me right in the eyes and said, you know, I was building it for Travis. He was a part of that, and you need to know I still am. He's right here. He's with me every day.
There wasn't anything in his life that he didn't go big on. Nothing. There's nothing about Travis that was little. Even in scale, he was a big guy. I have to say, I'm trying to live my life as I know he would, which is go big or go home. In his honor, that is our motto here at Price.
It's in every presentation. It's how Jerry ends his presentations.
There are actually banners.
Yep, and it's absolutely a part of the culture and who we are at Price.
The go big or go home mantra also extends into Jerry's love of sweets and butter.
Butter tarts, yeah, like the best butter tarts. These are the best butter tarts I've ever had. Or just has to be runny in the middle. Exactly. As much frosting as possible, as much sauce as possible. He's all about the sauce. He's all about the frosting and the butter. Yeah. Oh God, the butter. I think he gets a kick out of actually making it as gross as possible. I think he gets a kick out of making everybody just so grossed out by how he can eat something that has like, so he'll put a bun. The amount of bun and butter. The butter's like cheese. Like it's literally like a layer of cheese.
He's also famous for his special drink. He likes Kahlua and milk. We were out for rep council at Lake Lanier, and we take our reps out after the event for a nice boat ride on Lake Lanier, and the boat had left the dock, whereupon someone discovered that we forgot the Kahlua. So the correct answer in a case like that is turn around, go back, and get the Kahlua.
Jerry also has a ratio of Kahlua to milk and how the drink is poured. It isn't measured by the ounce, it's measured by the glug that the bottle makes as he's tipping it over, and a very PhD engineering approach to it.
And a massive smile on his face.
Kahlua and milk wasn't the only thing that put a smile on Jerry's face. His passion and energy is further fueled as he sees his family grow to next generations. Jerry also never loses sight of giving back to those in need.
I sometimes think that the fact that he was a starving student for so long, he never learned the notion of actually having money and means. So to him, it's all about giving back. So they give back just to a crazy level, because money doesn't matter to Jerry or to Barb personally, but doing for and with others means a lot. They just derive tremendous joy from giving back.
Travis's friends, guys and gals, every year they have a tradition on Boxing Day. They go over to Jerry and Barb's and they do Jerry's the chef, he does his famous French toast, everything else. I mean, it is unbelievable how connected and how they've stayed in touch with these kids over the years and what it means to these young people. That's really the type of a man that Jerry Price is.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Allison Hakamaki. I probably butchered that, Allison, I apologize. Vice President, Head Corporate Finance, Prairies Division of Bank of Montreal, who is here to introduce our first inductee of the evening. Allison.
Thanks very much, Doug. Wow, what an amazing video, and congratulations to everyone who's involved in that. It was very special. My name is Allison Hakamaki, and I'm honored to be here tonight to introduce a man who I've had the pleasure of knowing for the last 10 years. In February 2008, I met Jerry for the first time. I had recently moved out west, and like many people in the financial community, I had the opportunity to attend Price's annual Bankers Orientation, an AGM of sorts that Jerry holds annually to provide his business contacts and advisors with an update on the Price Group of Companies' results. I remember being so impressed and inspired by what Jerry presented at the meeting. Here I was at a hidden gem of a company in Winnipeg that I had never heard of before, that employed thousands of people on both sides of the border. It was an incredible success story, even 10 years ago, but what I always remember stuck with me at that first orientation session went far beyond the numbers. I remember Jerry started the meeting by reviewing the vision and values of Price. First, the vision of the Price Group of Companies was to be the market leaders through their service culture. Jerry said by outserving their competitors, by making it easy to do business with Price, they would become the supplier of preference that would build loyal clients, which in turn would lead to becoming #1 in market share in the USA. Jerry created this vision and strategy when he was appointed president and bought out the shareholder group around 1987. Jerry had set a goal of going from nobody to #1 in a highly competitive industry of commercial air distribution, and in 2008, 20 years later, they had achieved that goal. What I was hearing for the first time was an expanded vision of being #1 in new product categories and businesses. You see, Jerry had achieved his goal of being #1 in commercial air distribution, but he didn't want to rest on his laurels. In fact, he was mortally afraid of doing so, so they had more market categories to dominate. It was an ambitious goal, but Jerry was unwavering in his belief that the goal was achievable. Over the past 10 years, Price has expanded its market share in commercial air distribution in the USA, shooting up nearly 40% and climbing. In Canada, Price enjoys 50% market share. The challenge that Jerry and the Price team are fixated on now is to become #1 in the many new engineered product categories that the company has entered, and to grow around the world. There were many more mountains to climb. The second point that resonated with me that day in 2008 was Jerry's comment that their business was guided by the golden rule. Treat others as you'd like to be treated. How you get there is just as important as the outcome. I knew integrity was a fundamental value of the company he led. These guiding principles were so simple, but they truly struck a chord with me. We had many shared values between our organizations, but more importantly, these values resonated with me personally, and I knew that this was a company that I wanted to do more business with. A few months later, I earned that chance. I've learned a few things over the last 10 years. In 2008, the business was evolving. The financial crisis would stall growth in the US for a number of years, but Jerry, ever the visionary, would use the opportunity to take a contrarian approach. Price would invest in new markets and new products. Most companies would rein in their spending during a downturn, but Jerry planned to do the opposite. In the deepest period of the recession, Jerry was going to double down on investment in new product lines and new markets. As a new banker to the company, I was a little nervous, and I was certainly glad that my risk colleagues weren't there at the orientation session with me. But the balance sheet was strong, and I was a believer, and how could you not be? It was a very exciting time to be associated with Price. What I didn't know at the time was that by investing in new markets, product lines, and innovation, Jerry was laying the foundation for the next generation of leaders to take Price forward into whole new product arenas and international growth, like the Apple campus, the largest project in Price's history. This is nothing new, because during his tenure, he has launched many new product lines, factory expansions, and new business units in Canada and the US, and has grown the company to 20 times the size, scope, and reach it was when he became president in 1986. That's also what I've learned over the last 10 years. Along the lines of how you conduct yourself is just as important as winning or losing, I've learned that legacy matters to Jerry as well. And it's not his personal legacy I'm referring to, but it's a legacy of the values and principles the company is guided by, which have framed not only the culture of the Price Group, but the customer experience, the employee experience, and the impact that both have on their communities. Whether it's the Price Family Foundation or the Price Group themselves, more than $1 million in direct donations are contributed annually to a wide variety of organizations, including a $1.25 million donation to the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manitoba. Both of these organizations have also contributed to more than 400 university scholarships over the past 10 years. Another noteworthy cause that I'm proud BMO is associated with is the Travis Price Classic Golf Tournament, launched by Travis's close friends Taylor Ethans, Adam Coates, and Connor McGarry, and supported by Price, which has raised over more than $1.5 million for Variety Camp Brereton and Camp Manitou over the past 8 years. It truly gives Jerry and Barb joy to give back and lead by example as philanthropists within the community. And in 2011, they were recognized as Philanthropists of the Year in Manitoba by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. Jerry's contributions to the community and industry are far-reaching, and he's been recognized by local, national, and international organizations with many, many awards. Far too many to mention here. But I do think he would be particularly proud of being recognized by his peers as a Fellow of the Canadian Academy of Engineers in 2011, the highest honor an engineer can receive in Canada. Adding to this impressive list of achievements, Jerry will now have the honor of being inducted into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. A widely respected leader in his business, he has been dedicated to the city of Winnipeg as a major employer and contributor to the economy. Driven by the Price vision and values, his involvement within the community and his philanthropic efforts make him an exemplary candidate for this recognition. When I think back over the last 10 years, it's with great pride that I think of my association with Jerry Price. I have attended a number of orientation sessions, and the message has remained consistent. Each year, Jerry reviews the same visions and values that struck me all those years ago, the financial results, and we watch the market share continue to grow by delivering on what he says they're going to do. In this day and age, with all the negativity and cynicism, where leaders don't lead by example and the focus is on the bottom line and winning at any cost, it's refreshing and inspiring to see a leader who wins by doing the right thing and doing it the right way, day in and day out. He is a great example, and I'm so glad he's being recognized in this forum this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Jerry Price in his induction into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame.
Well, that was incredible, to say the least. I'm overwhelmed. I'm beyond humbled and honored to be here tonight receiving this recognition. I would first like to thank Junior Achievement for this whole process and organizing an annual event that recognizes leadership in our community and giving back. And a special thanks to Doug for his incredible job as MC. If I ever do an event in my life, I want you. A special thank you to Allison for her very kind remarks, and to my family who made this all possible, to Ainsley and Shandis for being in the video again, and to my great friends and colleagues in growing our enterprise, Joe Sear and Harry Ethans, who are part of our broad leadership team. And it's the team that's delivering the goods. I want to make that clear. I'm just one member of a big team of high-performing people that I'm fortunate to be part of. So thank you to all of you for doing what you do and saying what you said. But I'm happy in particular to have a chance to talk to the young people here today, because I've met so many inspiring young people already tonight. So what I want to speak to just quickly, because I know there's not a lot of time, is I want to speak to success, but I don't want to speak to it like that there's a secret to success or a path to success, because the secret to success is there's no secret to success. What there is instead is a path into life on how you might choose to live your life, which could succeed or not, but it's kind of irrelevant as long as it's the honorable path. And all you know every day is what you're going to do every day. So the path is important, and I have 5 questions I want to ask the young people, questions that I'm going to verbalize my opinion on, and it might be questions they're thinking about today as they try to decide their path in life. So question number 1 is, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? What business I want to be in, what path I'm going to take. So my answer to that is, it doesn't really matter. Ideally, choose something of value to society so you'll get a job or you'll be successful. But it could be business, it could be medicine, it could be education, it could be a craft, welding, or all the various crafts that are needed today. But what I think you must always make sure you do in answering that question is get trained, and get deep, solid training in whatever turns your crank, is your passion, lights the fire inside you. And get trained. Dig deep and work hard. You can never work hard enough. Work ethic trumps smarts every day of the week. So number 1 is get trained. And don't worry about whether it's the right path or the wrong path. You'll know very quickly along the way. You know, for me, without a lot of thought, I ended up in engineering because I like math. But I was more of a meteorologist than I was an engineer. I was more of a theoretical meteorologist, and I was also a software programmer. I dug deep in software programming, and I was a blast physicist. So those are the things I kind of, on my academic path, was trained in, if you like. But I had doubts along the way. Not many people know it, that I contemplated medicine when I was halfway along my engineering path in training. So at summer school, I took the prereqs to be a doctor, a medical doctor, just in case. Of course, I decided the next day I wasn't going to do that, but I did the prereqs. So there's nothing wrong with having doubts, and there's nothing wrong with a change in course, but you'll choose some path and just get trained. Number 2 question will be, where am I going to work? Like, what should be my first job? And my suggestion to you on that point is, choose an employer that is principled, and an employer who's good at what he does, so you can learn from people who have paved the road before you. You don't need to learn right from scratch everything. Ideally, work somewhere where you're going to pick up skills from them as well as serve them, because when you work for someone, you serve them, so make sure you deliver the goods, but you want to learn as well. So So, select your employer and start down the path, and there you go. For me, my first employer was Defense Research Board. It didn't last long, but that was my first employer, and I left them for various reasons. But in any case, the next question, the third question is, what if I changed my mind? What if is there something else I could be good at? And the answer to that is, providing you chose your first employer right, and providing you were trained deeply, yes, you can do almost anything you want. Because what you want to do in life is take on challenge and face adversity face on, and be the first guy that volunteers for responsibility and learn from the left curves of the unknown to you. It's unknown to you. Your greatest lessons are from the challenges and adversity in life. That is your greatest teaching. So providing you're trained formally and you have gone through that employment process where you've built your true skill set by dealing with adversity, what you don't realize is you could do anything you want at that point in time. You have the skill set to jump career and do anything you want. So that third point is a really key point. It's what I did. With no training in business, I got hired as a contractor for the family company that wasn't owned by my family anymore. It was owned by family members plus third-party shareholders, etc. So I jumped ship and I started into some new areas, but thankfully I'd had enough bumps along the road and grinds along the road to have skill set, and that allowed me to succeed. Fourth question that I think you might be asking yourself is, how should I behave in life when I'm in my job and in my work experience? I think you kind of know what I think from the comments from Allison and the video, that it's all about service and giving back, and it's about the golden rule. The interesting thing about the golden rule is every culture in the world and every language in the world has their spin on the golden rule. And it goes back thousands and thousands of years. So it's a mode of principle living that resonates with mankind, or else it would not have stood the test of time. So being principled and being nice and acting like you're on the receiving end of your own actions, and never losing control, never being a bully, never raising your voice, never answering a bad response with a bad response on your end because somebody's let off with a bad response. That's not necessary. The people who make the mistakes, the bullies and the bad responses, that's their problem. You have within your control the ability to respond how you wish. So take the high road, always, no exception, and you'll live a principled life. So that's my comment on how to live. The last question would be, how do I feel? Like, am I at peace? Am I settled? Am I grounded? Is my life going the way I want it to go? And I think my suggestion to the young people on that is, if you take a principled path, win or lose, you're at peace. Because if you take a service approach in life, you know where you stand in the food chain, you serve. No questions asked, no keeping score, you serve. And as long as you're not keeping score, you're happy. If you try to keep score, that's almost impossible. Life is a continuum, and everybody plugs in somewhere. For all of us, we could say there are millions of people better off than us, either more successful or with better health or the perceived greater success. And there are millions and millions less successful, poorer health through no fault of their own, unsuccessful for some left curve or whatever. We all plug in somewhere. The art in life is to be at peace no matter where you are. Don't covet the success of the other guy. Celebrate their success. You know what I mean? And just generally speaking, be at peace. Be thankful for wherever you plug into that continuum, because there's millions worse off than you. And give back. So the three things are, do not covet others' success. Be thankful for whatever your blessings are, because they are yours, and you should be lucky that you got what you got. And the final one is give back, because there are so many people who have less than what you have through no fault of their own. So that's kind of the end of what I really wanted to say with those 5 questions. And remember, if you win in life, It's not your own brilliance that did it. It's a team that brought you across the finish line. So all credit goes to the team, and you're just one member of the team. Park your ego at the door. Ego has no place. Fire in your belly is one thing, but ego is a zero in my book. There shouldn't be no ego and no keeping score on who came up with a successful idea or trying to make sure it's you or anything like that. You know, part of going into the unknown and being exhilarated by the unknown, which we do all the time, and we're totally turned on by the excitement of new territory we have to learn and figure out, requires basically an optimistic mindset, kind of a sense that the world is getting better all the time. Bill Gates summarized it very well in his open letter to Warren Buffett, his friend, following his annual report from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to Warren Buffett, who's his biggest fundraiser. Bill Gates said, "The world is getting better by almost every objective measure." The world is getting better today by almost every objective measure. So, ignore the news, which broadcasts the negative. Bill Gates can't be wrong. He's a thoughtful guy. There's lots of other books that give the facts to justify that. The world is getting better every day. There's no better time to be born than today in 2018. So all you young people, this is your chapter. This is your century. Go hard. Take a chance. Create something. Excel. Work hard. To all the company people, there aren't too many here. There's a few. Thank you for all the things you do every day and the heavy lifting, because like I said, I'm just one member of a big team that delivers the goods. And to my family, who's precious, to Barb and the girls and their partners and the grandchildren, I love you all, and none of this would have happened without your support. Thank you very much.
You know, my mom always had an expression. She said, Winnipeg has lots of cash and no flash. And when I think of that, I think of Jerry Price. He doesn't have doctor in front of his name. He's Jerry Price. He's the guy next door. He's lots of wonderful things, father, grandfather, husband, all the things you heard earlier, but he's still just Jerry Price. And I think you saw from the video and from Allison's wonderful comments, he is an absolute gem in this city. This city is always understated. We never, you know, the city's kind of fun that way. If you ever think you're doing something wonderful, you got a friend to take you down to bring you back to the earth. You're still Jerry Price. I don't care, you put your pants on the same way, but that is one special guy, and Jerry, proud to call you a friend. Well done. Now, if you'll watch the screen, our second inductee, Mr. Richard Croft. Enjoy the video.
Richard Croft was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba in 1938. He grew up in River Heights. His parents were caring and thoughtful and provided a wonderful home for Richard and his older brother to grow up in.
Our parents just really encouraged us a lot. There was no challenge that they ever suggested that we not take on. What we learned from them, we learned from watching them live. And that was a powerful message.
Richard graduated from law school but decided it wasn't for him. Instead, he went to work for McCabe Crane, his father's company, where he was in charge of finding new business opportunities. One of those opportunities was a company that specializes in the design, manufacture, and installation of plant growth chambers for agricultural science and research called Controlled Environments, now known as Conviron.
They were looking for backers to start a new business. So when they found me in February of '64, they had an idea. They had a couple of prototypes on the floor of a little shop with a door and 2 windows. I was 26 years old. I knew nothing about the hard parts of a business, least of all a technical business like manufacturing a product on a shop floor. But somehow I persuaded the group to whom I had to go for funding, the business group within McCabe that I represented, and we came up with $35,000 to back these fellows. So I became the man in charge of the business, and then really came face to face with the reality of doing something.
The concept was to replace the homemade facilities used by most research labs at the time with a manufactured product not previously available. He then took a 2-year hiatus to work in Ottawa, where he was Special Assistant to the Minister of Finance, and then Executive Assistant to the Secretary of State for External Affairs, Mitchell Sharp. In 1969, Croft returned to business, becoming chairman of Conviron. Croft set about building the business, eventually acquiring sole ownership.
He was the first person I know that really was doing a variety of things and opened my eyes, as well as to a lot of other people, the notion that there isn't just one way to live life and to pursue life.
I remember when I graduated from university at the U of M, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and his advice was keep learning, just always keep learning. We had a family of lawyers, never pushed me to go into law, never pushed us at all to go into the business. In fact, I think he probably always assumed that we wouldn't go into the business.
And yet, in 1997, Steve left his law practice to join Conviron. 18 months later, Richard received a most unexpected call from an old friend.
When I worked for Mitchell Sharp, there was a young MP and then young cabinet minister by the name of Jean Chrétien. Jean and I became very good friends and maintained that relationship over the years. Long after we went to Ottawa, we kept in touch and saw one another. So when the Senate seat opened in Manitoba, I got a call very soon after that from the Prime Minister saying, how would you like to go to the Senate? That was a Thursday night that he called me, and Monday I was sworn in and sitting in the Senate chamber. So things happen pretty fast.
Richard was very principled and always made sure his contributions as senator made a positive impact. He's also a strong supporter of his community.
Winnipeg is better now than it's been in my lifetime or in anybody's lifetime. And I really believe that's true. I'm terribly excited about Winnipeg. I've been engaged a lot in Winnipeg. I owe a lot to Winnipeg. I mean, it took my family in generations ago. I don't know if we could have built Conviron anywhere in the world as well as we did here. The obligation of all of us who have taken so much from this city to try to do something to leave it better than we found it, and richer and bigger, is a real one, and Helene and I have embraced that as fully as we could in so many different ways, and it's been tremendously rewarding.
In business, nothing makes him prouder than knowing that we have equipment all over the world that says Made in Winnipeg, Canada on the cereal plate.
Walk into a facility and see Conviron products there really doing what we had always dreamed they could do. That, and I've never gotten tired of that. We've done a very large installation at the University of Cambridge, and it really sort of brought me home. Here was a magnificent building built around our equipment, designed in coordination with our equipment at one of the great universities of the world, and I really had to stop and think what a wonderful, wonderful thing that was.
Cambridge is just one of the many top universities and research centers that Conviron is now an integral part of. Today, Conviron is a leader in the development of research and production equipment in the fields of agriculture, ecological studies, nutraceuticals, and more recently, cannabis. They have been an integral part of major developments in food security and medical breakthroughs. Richard's wife was a strong contributor to his success.
When we went to Ottawa, we were very young. We got into this life with all these people coming and doing things and activities. She just had a gift for it. She became a national vice president of the Liberal Party. So in terms of reinforcing that part of my life as a partner in a happy marriage, she's a brilliant mother. And I will rest my case, and people can judge me by my children and my grandchildren, And so much of that credit is hers. And I learned from her all the way. She learned from me all the way, and that's never stopped.
Richard believes his personal and business success can be broken down to a basic philosophy.
Have a set of values that you understand. I'm not talking about sort of any lofty ideal. I'm just saying basic values for life. Understand what they are, work with people with whom you can share these values, and that's core. That's absolutely core. And I would believe if anything has been led to the success of Conviron, it's that we have a common, deeply embedded and well understood value structure.
At the end of the day, a business is about people. And he cared and still cares about the Conviron family in a way that is amazing, frankly. I mean, I still hear stories of things he's done for employees or their kids. You know, maybe they've gotten in a little bit of trouble, that he's helped them out. Doesn't tell anyone, no one knows about it. But at the end of the day, he is so proud of the people that have worked with him over 54 years. He's pretty special that way.
Richard's true legacy will be measured not in what he accomplished or even how he accomplished it, but will be measured more by the people who he's influenced and who will be carrying on and expanding on what he's done. And on top of that, just a number of people generally who along the way saw him not only as a role model, but who experienced him as a mentor, someone who provided guidance, encouragement, and as a result have created a number of people who are now much more actively engaged in the community and making it a better place for all than they otherwise would have been. A perfect example of someone who's not only done well, but has done a lot of good.
Please welcome to the stage Danny Wright, Managing Partner, sounds good, Danny, and Tax Partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Danny, and he will introduce our next inductee.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening. I'm completely honored to have been given the opportunity to make a few remarks about Richard Croft and present him with his award as he is inducted into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. I know Richard and the Croft family both from a professional and a personal perspective. From a professional perspective, in my role as the managing partner of PwC, I'm delighted to be able to recognize one of our long-standing, family-owned private company clients. Over the years, our firm has been given the opportunity to witness firsthand Richard's entrepreneurship, innovation, and commitment to the Winnipeg business community and the Winnipeg community at large. Our firm has worked with Richard and his family, as well as Conviron, for over 30 years, starting with our legacy firms, Pricewaterhouse and McClarty and Company, the latter of which merged with Coopers and Lybrand. I should also note that, like many things in Winnipeg, the personal and the professional have crossed a bit. My father, Paul Wright, now a retired partner, was a partner at Coopers and Lybrand in the early 90s and became the Croft family and Conviron's accounting and tax advisor at that time. My father was on that account and worked with the Croft family for approximately 15 years, and I know he thoroughly enjoyed working with them and getting to know them. From a personal perspective, I first met Helene, Richard, and their family almost 30 years ago during my summer spent at Falcon Lake. In particular, I got to know them, Lisa and Steve, at the golf course, whether it be while I was working in the pro shop or when we would get the chance to play the odd round of golf together. In fact, I remember as a child, I used to be dropped off at the golf course to spend the day there and would just join up with whoever I could. And one day, a young friend of mine and myself, we ended up playing with Helene. And that was the first time I'd met Helene, and about 14 holes in, realized that my father was her accountant. So Winnipeg's a small place, but it's been a relationship that I have valued very much. Given that I've known the Croft family for so many years, I feel especially honored today to be able to work with them in their business and to work with the rest of the Conviron team, continuing what has been a long-standing relationship for not only PwC, but my family. So on behalf of the partners at PwC and all our staff, as well as the Wright family, I would like to congratulate Richard and ask him up here to receive his award as he's inducted into the Manitoba Business Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny. The only thing I have to ask is, can you still get tea times for me? Can you? Good evening, everyone. This is a truly wonderful moment for me, and I do indeed have a few things to say. Standing here tonight, it is difficult not to slip into history and nostalgia, which my family will tell you I am far too inclined to do, but I promise to try hard to avoid it. However, having said that, there are a couple of thoughts I could not resist. First is being here in this wonderfully rescued theater, where as a youngster, a teenager, and a would-be man about town, I watched so many great Hollywood movies that opened my eyes to both real and imaginary worlds. Now, in this building, our past is preserved, and wonderful things will continue to happen. Second is the blink of an eye that took me from the old amphitheater rink, cheering on my favorites, the Winnipeg Monarchs of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, to last Friday night and the glorious whiteout and delirious crowds in the arena and in the streets just outside this building. It was breathtaking. And it is happening because the Jets are one of the very best hockey teams in the entire world, and because we are Winnipeg, Manitoba, and all that implies. I believe these reflections speak to both our history and our future as a city, and to why we are here tonight. My parents taught me that I would be judged by the company I kept. As a child, I took their message as a cautionary one, but I have long understood that there is another very positive side to it, and one that I have never felt more strongly than here right now. To be judged by the company I'm in tonight and those inductees of previous years is a proud and humbling experience. Thanks, buddy. I want to thank, most sincerely, Greg Leipzig, Junior Achievement, and all those responsible for my being honored in this way. There are, in fact, many people responsible for my being here. First, of course, were my mother and father. They were remarkable people, and there can be no doubt it was they who, through their unfailing example, set me on the course that has brought me here. My older brother, Guy, reinforced their values in his own unique way. I have tried to follow these examples for 79 and 11/12 years. My amazing wife, Helene, is inseparable from everything I have been able to do in my life. For more than 57 years, we have operated as a unit, and both her accomplishments and mine come out of that loving partnership. Of course, the very best of what we have achieved together is found in our incredible children, Gordy, Steve, and Beth, their spouses, Holly, Lisa, and Josh, and the 8 sensational grandchildren they have given us. If there were nothing else, my life would have been a huge success. It should not surprise you to learn that I have another family as well. The dedicated, caring, and fabulously talented people with whom we have built the business of Conviron over more than half a century are very special to me. Great numbers of them have devoted their entire careers to the pursuit of our shared dream. They and their families have built their lives on the enterprise we began so long ago. When, at the tender age of 26, I persuaded my father and some colleagues to take a chance on a startup, I could not have imagined the amazing people and great adventure that decision would bring into my life. I cannot say enough to express my gratitude and caring for our Conviron family, and thankfully a number of them are here tonight, and I'm just so happy you're here. I want also to speak of the city I love. Winnipeg has provided the safe, educated, sophisticated, stimulating, and supportive environment in which we raised our family and have built our business. Beyond that, it is a city in which I have been privileged to engage with an enormous number of wonderful people and a multitude of other causes. Many of those people have become friends for a lifetime, and that has been reward in itself. The shared experience of community building on many fronts has enriched my life in ways beyond description. As I think of all those things in which I have been involved, a clear and powerful lesson emerges. Each project or institution has been important in itself. Each activity was a part of building our city and our province. And each of them was a reminder that we build not only through combined efforts, but with shared values. I truly believe that Winnipeg is a special and unusual place. It has a remarkable fellowship of businessmen and women who are generous in every way, mutually supportive and eager to see each other succeed. We help one another grow and are inspired by each other's achievements. Over the years, I have come to understand that the unique spirit of the Winnipeg business community is also found in every aspect of our social and cultural institutions. This is one of the great secrets of our success as a city and a province. I want to tell you about something else that occupied much of my life, and that is politics and public service. While this evening is primarily about business and community, my remarks would be incomplete were I not to acknowledge the significant part that political activity and the public service opportunities it provided have played in my life and in Helene's. These experiences were incredibly important. They provided us with insight and understanding of the nature and greatness of our province and our country, and have enriched us with friendships from coast to coast. I know with absolute certainty that my experience in politics, government, and public life has deeply affected me and made me a better person, better able to succeed at everything I have undertaken so far, and may yet do. Finally, to the young entrepreneurs here tonight, let me just say you are privileged to live in a remarkable time and place, a time and place where anything is possible. You can pursue your goals, knowing what others have achieved, starting from the same place as you. You should study and be inspired by those who have gone before you, and be excited, as we all are, by the fantastic new things that are happening all around us every day. How lucky you are, and how lucky we all are to have you. And to everyone here, thank you very, very much.
I always like to think of Winnipeg as one big Hutterite colony. And I say that lovingly. If you talk to people long enough, you'll always find a common denominator. You went to school with somebody, your parents were friends or whatever. Now, Richard talked about working for Mitchell Sharp in Ottawa, and I found out only in the last couple of years, not that Mitchell Sharp is my cousin, but he's actually my grandmother's first cousin, which makes him, I think, my third cousin. So there was my third cousin, who I knew, and I meet Richard, and he worked for my cousin. So we are one big Hutterite colony. So, and Richard, you know, I haven't had the pleasure of knowing you long, although I feel like I've known you for quite some time through your son, Steve. I haven't had the pleasure of knowing your other two children, but if he is your legacy, you've done well. So congratulations, and very deserving. Now our third video is the lovely husband and wife team of Rick Bell and Ida Albo, so please enjoy the video.
Ida Albo was born in Winnipeg. Her parents were first-generation immigrants from Italy, and they owned a small family-run grocery store.
I have 2 sisters and a brother, and all really, really tight, like really, really close-knit Italian family. The store was open 7 days a week, and it's not like we had employees, so somebody was always working.
Ida graduated from Queen's University in Kingston with a master's in economics. She returned home that summer, and she went to the University of Manitoba's economics department, hoping to find employment.
If I enrolled in a PhD program, I could, technically you'd be funded to teach some courses. I enrolled in a few graduate courses and was assigned a couple classes to teach, and Rick was my professor in my international trade course.
Rick grew up in Thunder Bay, the son of an electrician and homemaker. He went to school at the University of Calgary and received his doctorate in London, England. He was teaching at Kobe University in Japan when an opportunity came up to replace a prof at the U of M.
He shared an office with a couple that I had gone to elementary, junior high, and high school with. So I would visit them, and then with Rick, and then the 4 of us would go out for drinks. I think our first date was Glenn and Gail reminded me that the Morocco Club had happy hour until 11:30 at night. So we went to the Morocco Club.
In 1984, they began their foray into the restaurant business with a small takeout place in the basement of the Eaton's building downtown. They eventually moved to a larger restaurant in Osborne, Du Bon Goût.
Rick was cooking in the kitchen, and I was in the front end, and so the menu at that first Du Bon Goût location, he would create every day, like literally, and then I would handwrite it, and then I'd run over to the Osborne Zoo and use the photocopier and photocopy them. And there might be customers in, and I'd go, I'll be right back with the menu. And then the Forks was opening, and they were looking for tenants. There was a little bit more incentives there, and it was the right location, and we had a good reputation. I think we were the first or second tenant to sign a lease at the Forks, and that's when we opened up a restaurant called Sandpiper. And then we expanded Sandpiper into a more casual concept called the Prairie Oyster Cafe.
It was by a chance encounter with the former manager of the Hotel Fort Garry, Aziz Bakhti, that led to the couple owning the fabled hotel. They needed more kitchen space, and the hotel needed someone to operate their kitchen.
It was massive, and no one was using it. And we said, well, what's the deal? They needed a food and beverage operator, but there was really no volume while we were prepping if someone ordered anything. You know, we would have to put it up. We got a visit by two Frenchmen, and to the Prairie Oyster Cafe, and said, well, you know, we need to talk to you about the food and beverage operations at the Fort Garry Hotel. And we're like, oh, damn, we're going to lose it. And they said, no, what we want to do is we actually want to build you a restaurant.
Because of they're doing such a wonderful job at the Forks at Prairie Oyster, they were offered the catering at the hotel by the then manager of the Fort Garry Hotel. So they started the catering in 1994, and jokingly, Rick suggested, why don't you sell me the hotel? And so in 1994, they took control of the Hotel Fort Garry.
When I first came to work here, we had very little staff. We were from any days 9 to 22% occupancy, and it was very difficult. I remember bringing clients in and saying, "Oh, don't worry, famous last words," while we drilled the main floor of the lobby, literally drilling it to put the rest of the marble in that was missing under the carpet the previous owners had. And on Saturday night, in would come our carpet people, and they'd carpet the lobby where we'd been drilling, and no one was the wiser.
Rick and Ida had just taken over the hotel, and they were trying to figure out how to brand the hotel and how to market it. And they concluded that the best way to market it was to elaborate on the rumors about being haunted. So they decided that the kickoff of the opening of the hotel would be centered around a Ghostbuster theme. We chatted about it late into the night. Rick and Ida were living in the hotel at the time. First thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, Ida gets on the elevator, goes downstairs to the breakfast room, and Bill Murray is sitting by himself in the breakfast room having breakfast. It's unheard of, it's impossible. But at the time, he still does, Bill Murray owned a Northern League baseball team that played against the Goldeyes. The team was in town to play that, and he came in. That became a bit of an omen for Rick and Ida. If they were apprehensive about what did they really get into here, I think that gave them certain confidence.
The first financial kind of reporting in January was room revenue was $53,000, casino rent was $12,000, and the hydro bill was $70,000. I remember a friend that I had gone to Queens with and was actually writing for the Globe and Mail, and actually wrote a story about Rick and I when we had first taken over the hotel. And his comment was that we basically couldn't afford to quit. And so what motivates you? And he said, "Oh, it's debt."
The hotel may have been in debt, but Rick and Ida's way of working together made them an unstoppable team, even in projects beyond the Hotel Fort Garry.
It's interesting to watch the two styles because they both start from vision. Rick gets the idea, and then it's stop and think about it, and think it all the way through. Ida's is more instinctual. She has a great vision, but it's let's go. Ida, when she became the center venture ex officio or something like that with Mr. Burns, that's when I started to work with Ida a lot with the skateboard park. So the skateboard park was bang on. It was just in a really aggressive timeline. Saying that, the vision was so powerful and was so needed at the time that it worked.
What I had noticed was there were a lot of kids skateboarding downtown where they shouldn't be, including the ramp of our parkade. We had a new board member that had just joined the year before, and his name was Jim Burns. And I went up to see him, and I asked him if he would help me fundraise for a skateboard park. And he goes, "What the hell is a skateboard park?" So I went to King's and I bought some skateboard magazines so he could see what a skateboard was. And he called me back the next day and he said, "This is embarrassing. This is disgusting." And I was trying to explain to him that it really was more mainstream. He said, "That's not what I'm talking about. I know what a skateboard is." He said this, and one of the magazines that I had bought him was the Canadian Skateboard Directory. And it was all of the inventory of skateboard parks in Canada. And the only entry for Manitoba was something at Sargent Park Pool, some seasonal wooden pieces that they were bringing out. So he said, "Well, get to work." And I said, "Okay, but you're going to help me fundraise." And he said, "I'm paying for it."
Ida's driving force, in combination with Rick's meticulous planning, has definitely left its mark on the city with projects like Ten Spa and Yoga Public. Rick is just as meticulous in his personal life, too.
He wanted to get a dog, and everyone in the house had to take a personality test so that he could exclude the breeds. He had narrowed it down to a Leonberger, and the best breeder in the world was Guido Parasoni in Perugia. And so he had to go to Perugia to see if it was really going to be the right fit. We ended up with two beautiful Leonbergers, Giorgio and Francesca, that were fixtures in the hotel for a long time.
The Hotel Fort Garry has become renowned and world-class, all thanks to Rick and Ida's success in restoring it.
They go for quality first, and they really believe that, and they're right, that Winnipeggers will support quality. If you look at what we're doing in the market right now, under Rick's leadership is same thing. We're going for quality when we didn't always, we always kind of cut corners, or we'd say, let's not do it because it's too expensive. But if you lead with that vision and with that quality, the rest just falls into place.
They're visionaries, but they're visionaries that can execute. And so they envision and then they achieve. And it's remarkable what they've done.
You're assuming I'm going to introduce you, Derek? You're coming up here? Please join me in welcoming Derek Johannesson, Chairman of Carlisle Printers Service and Supplies, to introduce our final inductees of the evening, Ida Elbow and Rick Bell. Derek.
You gotta love this town. To live in a place where you can get a hug from your lieutenant governor and call her Janice. A place where you can go to your agricultural minister and buy him a beer and call him Ralph. You can stop your mayor in the street and call him Brian. And you can come to a great event like this and have an MC and call him Mr. Harvey. Honorees, ladies and gentlemen, it is just such a pleasure for me to be here tonight to introduce two very good friends of mine. When Greg gave me the call about being involved in this project, and he said, here are the honorees, I said, Greg, you have knocked it out of the park. You have found three people that really, or four people, that really exemplify what entrepreneurship is about, but that are the people that don't do this kind of stuff. They don't come out and pound their chest and look what I've done. Humble people that to come forward, to convince them to come forward and add credibility and significance to your program was masterful. And to end off with Ida and Rick is a perfect ending. Because with Ida and Rick, we have the dynamic duo. Two very different people, the yin and the yang, that come together and make great magic. We met Ida and Rick in 1995, shortly after they started running the Fort Garry Hotel. And you've got to remember back in 1994, just how bad the Fort Garry Hotel was. I don't know how people can remember the world's largest yard sale. Right? Publicity, bring all that stuff out from the basement. Rick figured out Rick could put lipstick on a pig and you'd start dating it. He was the master of taking things that were really, in terrible shape and turning them into something that looked great. And that's what we saw from Ida and Rick. Ida was the front person and Rick was the back of house. And you can't have one without the other. You have to have that meticulous back of house to make that front of house work. And if you don't get people in the front door, you don't need the guy in the back. Once you know somebody that owns a hotel, whenever you have people coming into town, where do you want to stay? You're going to stay at the Fort Garry Hotel. So we put them in the Fort Garry Hotel. We had a supplier in from Los Angeles. We're taking him out for lunch after spent the night in the hotel, and he says, where did they get those beds? Where did they get those beds? So I, get on the phone to, Ida, what did they do? What's so special about your beds? I hadn't slept in their beds. He says, we've got this feather bed quilt that we put on it. Rick had researched to, find the perfect bed cover, and now I'm handing the phone to my fellow from Los Angeles, and he's writing down the address so he can buy the feather bed for his home. It's that kind of combination of the attention to detail that Rick brings to the party and that energy that Ida shares with all of us. But we're blessed because it's so much more than the Fort Garry Hotel. If we're just talking about entrepreneurship, we've got the Yoga Public, we've got the 10 Spa, all world-class events. But with Ida and Rick, we're doubly blessed. I call it the 1 + 1 = 3 in their commitment to the city. Ida's involvement in Center Venture, the transformation of so many buildings downtown, the creation of the skate park, unbelievable. And then you go to the Forks and you see what Rick has been able to do to transform the Forks Commons area. The caliber of food and beverage services that the place is unbelievable. But they don't do it. You don't see their names on any of it. There's no plaques. There's no recognition. It's just this nice, quiet, this is the right thing to do. And that's what they do. They do the right things. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our final inductees of this evening, our dynamic duo, Ida Albo and Rick Bell.
Come on. All right.
I think we're doing this Academy Award style.
That's it, Academy Award style. So it's the dynamic duo. All right. Thank you to Junior Achievements for this esteemed award. It is an honor and privilege to share the stage with such distinguished Manitoba business leaders such as Jerry Price and Richard Croft. Wow. Jerry, what a great speech that was.
The other award recipients this evening are rightfully honored for putting Winnipeg on the map for exporting their world-class products to the world. Our success, in many ways, is the reverse. It's been the citizens of Winnipeg and Manitoba who have supported our growth and allowed us to reposition a world-class gem and return a nearly demolished jewel to its former glory.
Any achievements such as this is accomplished by a long list of unsung supporters and unsung staff working behind the scenes who also hold the mantle of this award. And with them, we share this honor. So thank you all very much, and thank you for supporting us. And we had a lot of luck, and we drank a lot of coffee. That's it.
Thank you. Good night.
So I'm going to ask the other recipients, Richard, who's that other guy? Bill Price? Oh, Jerry. Can you come up and I'll get your pictures taken with both the mayor and Minister Ralph Eichler? So that, and Ida and Rick, you know, you're kind of what I always say, when you get involved in charitable work, you do it for, number one, you hope you can make a difference. Number two, you have fun. And number three, you meet some terrific people. I'd have no reason to know you guys if it wasn't for the work that you do and me being fortunate enough to work with you. So you are poster children for economic downtown development. We have Center Venture. Ida, you've served on Center Venture. We have the Forks. But what you've shown us in the Fort Garry and in Yoga Public is we don't have to settle for being okay, as I think we have historically done. That is an unbelievable hotel that you have that makes us all proud to take people to it. You sit in the palm room. I remember the drummer boy. I remember Dubon Groot. I have eaten my way into your lives. But, you know, they're just, you sit in that palm room and you look at it and you say, I could be in Chicago, I could be in New York. It's just a fabulous facility. So you lead by example. You're wonderful people and wonderful friends, and congratulations on an honor well deserved. So while they're all getting their picture taken, I'd just like to say congratulations to our 2018 inductees and their respective families. All of you talked about your families, and we all understand that in business and in life you have to make some sacrifices, and we understand families quite often do for the good of our community and of our citizens. So you've inspired us with your stories, you've inspired us with how you live your lives, and we're forever grateful for that. So to all the guests that are here tonight, I think Greg said there's 438 of you, so that shows your commitment to these people and to our community, and I thank you for that. It's been an honor to be your MC, to be here on this wonderful evening, so please enjoy the rest of your evening, drive home safe. Thank you for being proud Winnipeggers.